I'm Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different, and every breakup is different. Work with me, and you'll get professional help on your situation. Just click on the link in the description below, or go to my website, askcraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Kenneth, and in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about how to get your ex back, 5 important strategies. Well, if you're going through a breakup, I can imagine the amount of pain and hurt that you're going through right now, and I know because I've been there. And so I have a lot of new people coming to my channel all the time, and they get very confused very fast. And I know, because when you're going through that pain and that hurt where you just feel completely lost and just devastated, it can be extremely confusing. And no matter what kind of relationship you were in, whether it was 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years, or 3 decades, the end of that relationship can feel like death. And it's really scary when you want your ex back and you love this person and you just want them in your life. It's really, really scary because you're so confused and so anxious, and you can't stop thinking about them. And I get that. It's probably like one of the scariest things you could go through is that separation anxiety from your partner or your loved one. And you probably spend most of your days thinking about them, fantasizing about them, how to get them back, beating yourself up at what you did wrong, and it could be a really, really difficult time. And I know, because I did not do breakups well. When I was going through breakups in my life, I was miserable, I was sick, I couldn't eat, I lost all kinds of weight, I was getting stomach aches every day, I was waking up in cold sweats. I did not deal with them well, and that is why I've spent so many years trying to figure this out, because I know what you're going through and I want to help, okay? So today's video is a little bit different because I had some various questions come up recently that I thought would be good to put them all together and talk about these strategies to get your ex back, okay? These are really important. And I thought they were ones that I see a lot, because there's a lot of bad information out there. You know it and I know it. It doesn't take much to put up a YouTube channel. It doesn't take anybody with any kind of education or real experience to do it. Anyone could do it. As you guys know, I am a therapist. I've been a therapist for, I don't know, over 15 years at this point, and I was a behavior analyst for about 4 years too. So I understand behavior, and believe me, I have spent a tremendous amount of time figuring this stuff out because I want to know what happens, how to fix it, and everything in between. So these are some of the 5 biggest mistakes that I see, and I think this is going to help you guys, okay? So my first question says, "Hey coach, just had a quick question for you. My girlfriend and I broke up last week. I came online and found you with a few other coaches. I love that you actually have a degree and experience. Nobody else that I found has that. I also really like the way you talk with people. I could tell you really care. I'm really confused and scared about one thing. Some people say I should ignore my ex if she reaches out. Is that true? Should I ignore her for 30 days? Absolutely not. I disagree with this strategy 100%. I don't know where it came from or who started this, but absolutely do I not advocate for ignoring your ex, okay? I think this is a huge, huge, huge mistake, and I see it happen all the time. It doesn't make any sense to me. If somebody breaks up with me and they start to miss me, what are they going to do? They're going to reach out. They're going to make an attempt to repair our relationship, right? But why would I ignore them when they do that? That makes no sense. Just because, what is 30 days of ignoring somebody going to do but make them scared to ever reach out again? Okay? I mean, take away your romantic partner for a minute, and let's just put the situation on something completely unrelated, like your sister. Okay, let's say you and your sister get into a big fight, right? And after 2 weeks, she calls you up. She wants to fix things with you. She's sad. She misses you. Would you ignore your sister? Probably not. I mean, if you were really mad, you might, but that's not going to make things any better. She's just going to say, oh, the hell with them. You know, or the hell with you. I've had it, you know. I've tried to fix things and you don't want to do it, so they're going to get annoyed and give up. But that's your sister. That's blood in that situation. With an ex, you're going to be a lot more sensitive to somebody ignoring you. You're not going to keep reaching out to somebody that's rejecting you. Why would you ignore somebody? I don't get that. This strategy makes no sense to me, and I would never advocate to tell you guys that you should ignore somebody. Well, obviously, you don't want to be super excited and eager to hear from them, but you do want to go on the path of trying to repair that. Okay? I had actually this really funny situation from somebody a few months ago that I did a Skype with him, and I'll never forget it because it was so ridiculous to me. He was following this strategy that he was told to do: ignore your ex for 30 days. Okay, so this is what happened to him. They lived nearby each other. One day he's going through this park that's local, but in between them, starts walking through the park, and what happens? He sees his ex. Now he says, I gotta ignore her. I'm not gonna ignore her, so I'm not gonna talk to her. So what does he do? He just keeps walking. Guess what happens? Her dog sees him in the park, comes running across the park, and jumps all over him. So she comes over to him and starts talking to him. And what does he do? He follows the strategy of ignoring her. So he starts, like, not answering any of her questions. She's like, hey, how are you? What are you doing? He's like, I can't talk to her. I can't talk to her. I'm supposed to ignore her. So what does he do? He, like, ignores her and just winds up leaving, like, giving, like, short answers, but, like, so awkward that she winds up telling a mutual friend that she thinks he's stalking her. Poor guy. I mean, that's just awful. He was so confused, and that's what I get. You guys are so confused, I know, because I've been there. It's so confusing and terrifying, and you desperately want to do the right thing, and I get that. So please, do not ignore your ex. I know how scary it is, but if they reach out, then you reply. Okay. I just had a woman ask me during a coaching this next question. She thought that she should try and be friends with an ex, and this is what she said: should I be friends with my ex? I feel like if I'm their friend, I can eventually win them back. Well, okay, I would not be friends with your ex. So, by the way, this is my second strategy. Number 2, I would not be friends with my ex because you're not being authentic with them. You don't want to be just their friend. So don't act and pretend something that's not authentic for you, because they're going to see right through it, and you're just going to wind up being manipulative. Let's be honest. If you're trying to secretly get them back, you're not being authentic and saying, yes, I really am your friend. No, you're trying to manipulate them and manipulate the situation. And they're going to know eventually. It's going to come up, and it's just going to wind up backfiring and blowing up in your face. And the other thing is, do you really want to sit there and be their friend? I mean, what kind of friend are you going to be if you can't go out with them and they can talk about their new partner or the person they're interested in? You don't want to be in that situation. So I would definitely not stay friends with an ex. Okay, let's move on to the third tip and strategy. This one is a question from Nellie, who says, Hi Craig, thank you for all your hard work and incredibly insightful videos. I have a question I was hoping you could answer. I have been having a very difficult time during my breakup and spent a lot of time talking with friends and family. It's so confusing. Everyone tells me different things. So, this is a huge, huge opportunity to get this right, okay? Number 3, talking to your friends and family and getting advice from them. Okay, I agree that talking to your friends about everything is helpful. You have to talk about it. You feel like you're dying inside. It's an important outlet to share how you're feeling and what you're going through. However, you need to be extremely careful about any advice you take from friends and family. I can tell you, I talk to people every single day, guys, around the world, and generally, and I say this in about 99.9% of the time, their advice is not going to help, and in most cases, almost all cases, it's going to make it worse. I hate to say that because I don't want to insult anybody's friends or family, and I took friends and family's advice many, many years ago when I was going through breakups. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. It's not something they really understand. Sure, they might have some understanding of relationships, but re-attracting an ex is a separate skill and strategy. And to be honest with you, and I hate to say this too, but it's truth, most therapists that you go to are going to give you equally bad relationship and breakup advice. They may be great in other areas, do not get me wrong. Therapists are great for a lot of things, but when it comes to re-attracting an ex, they often tell you things that are not going to work. I hate to say it, but they just don't specialize in that. And this is something that I have spent literally thousands of hours putting together, looking at mental health, looking at all the different things. I really spent a tremendous amount of time looking at what is going to work to get them interested again. And a lot of therapists are going to tell you about opening up to them, trying to talk to them, and they're just not ready and they're not interested in hearing it. Okay? There's a time and place for something like that, and it's definitely not when you want to re-attract them. Alright, so please be very careful with any kind of advice from friends or family. Goes on to say, after watching your videos, I realized I have an anxious attachment style and mistreated my boyfriend. I screamed at him all the time. I put his friends, and his family down. I feel terrible. My mom said I should send him a handwritten letter and mail it. Do you think this would help? Well, I definitely do not like the handwritten letter. Please, let me make this clear to you. Like I said just a minute ago, there's a time and a place for everything. Telling them how sorry you are and all the things that you did wrong is not going to re-attract them. It just doesn't work like that. And believe me, I know, because I have people tell me every single day that it doesn't work. I tried the handwritten letter, I sent them a note, I sent them an email apologizing about all the things I do. It doesn't make them want you back. There's no correlation there, okay? You have to understand that. There's just no correlation between sending that kind of a letter and re-attracting them. I know in a lot of ways it would make sense, but a lot of breakups and how to re-attract somebody and make them interested in you again is counterintuitive. And sending them a letter talking about all the things that you've done wrong, it's not going to do that. Okay? And I would be very, very wary of somebody that gave you that advice. Okay? Because it just doesn't work. Okay, and the fifth and final tip, and this is so crucial to you guys, please, 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 learn about love and attachment. Learn about attachment styles. Many of you guys are absolutely blown away when you hear about attachment and attachment styles and you see the examples that I give. You're always telling me, this described me to a T, this described my ex to a T. Yes, attachment is our blueprint for love. Okay? The attachment that we formed in those first 2 to 3 years of our life with our caregivers winds up being our blueprint for romantic love. And you're oftentimes very, very unconscious of it, okay? Because it happened many, many years ago. A lot of it, most of it, happened pre-verbally, before you could speak, before you had language. But it is still there in our unconscious, believe it or not. Some people don't believe it, but I can tell you, I have had people remember being in the crib and trauma they experienced in the crib, okay? You want to learn about the attachment styles because it's not one size fits all. There are a lot of information out there saying you do this to get your ex back. Well, it's not going to work that way. It's 2 different blueprints. Actually, there's really 4 different blueprints. There's anxious attachment style, there's avoidant, there's disorganized, which I rarely talk about because it's only like 3% of the population, tends to be people that are adopted and whatnot. I may get to that in some other videos, but generally it's very rare. And then there's the secure attachment style. So reattracting somebody that has an anxious attachment style is going to be very, very different than reattracting somebody that has an avoidant attachment style. It's so different. It's like if you wanted to build Yankee Stadium, you're not going to look at blueprints from the Golden Gate Bridge. It's not going to help. You're not going to get where you want to go. And it's so important that you understand it. That's why I have tons of videos. Guys, I have like probably 40 videos, maybe more, where I'm just talking about attachment styles, attachment traumas, attachment injuries, because it's absolutely crucial information. And one of the things that of course I'll work with you on is figuring out what your attachment style is, what their attachment style is, how it relates to reattracting them, and everything in between. So please, please, guys, go through those videos and learn about attachment styles. So learning about attachment and attachment styles is critical to having successful romantic relationships. And that's why I'm always trying to share all the information that I can, and you will see a direct correlation to your own romantic relationship. And you're also going to see patterns with your relationship with your caregivers. So, just to review, the 5 strategies that I gave you today is very important. Do not ignore your ex when they reach out. Please respond to them, but be cautious in the way that you do it, but don't ignore them. Okay? Don't stay friends with your ex. You're going to be trying to do it to manipulate them or be inauthentic to get them back. It's not going to help. It's going to make things worse. Number 3, talking to your friends and family to get advice. I think it's very, very important for you guys to talk about how you're feeling. Get maybe a therapist locally. Of course, I'm here to work with you. So yes, talk with your friends and family about how you're going through such a hard time. But please be very careful on any strategy to reattract somebody. I just did a Skype a little while ago with a guy who got terrible advice from his friends and family. The exact opposite of what I told him to do. And he's even been watching my videos, and he still panics. And oh my gosh, I see it every day. I know the anxiety is overwhelming. I really do. But you have to have discipline in the important times, okay? It's very, very important that you learn discipline. Number 4, the handwritten letter does not work. It's not going to reattract your ex. In fact, they're going to probably get angry at you because they're probably going to say something like, oh, well, why couldn't you do this when we were together? Why couldn't you do all these things that you're saying now when we were together? They're just going to get angry. And the 5th one is learn about attachment styles. Believe me, it will change not only your relationships with your romantic partners, it will help improve your relationships with your friends, your family, even your business and people that you work with. You'll be able to sense people's attachment styles once you get really good at it, and it'll help you engage and interact with them. So, when you want to get my help personally, just go to my website, askcraig.net, sign up for the coaching option that works best for you. I do email coaching, I do Skype coaching, and if you like the video, throw a like on there. I do appreciate it. And be sure to subscribe to the channel because I do post videos Monday through Friday. But I'm Coach Craig Kenneth, and I will talk with you soon.